Bum, ba-dum. Oh, hello, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing? That's Guy here. I'm gonna bring you. I'm gonna be commentating for the 8th day of the CBL Asia Division knockout stage. Knockout stage. Yeah. There's a lot. It's just a lot. It's just a bunch. But nevertheless, I do hope you guys enjoy my commentary. We're gonna have the YYY versus BOD, kind of a rematch again. I think BOD took the win the last time. I could double check that information, but maybe I'm just a bit too lazy. Nevertheless, um, I do think I do think it is kind of going to be more interesting at the very least than some of the other matches we have been watching as of late. Mostly because um, ooh, Pigman phase has begun. No, 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 not like this. Application error just fails on me here. Come on. Sweet, sweet honey Jesus, please work. Oh, there we go. Holy Jesus, what is happening? At least your guys' things is stable. My thing went freaky deaky. Alrighty, so YYY bans Heilong Fjord, BOD bans Hidden City, and then we have a double Harbor City pick from both sides. Now, mine's just a little bit glitchy because it's being recorded. Ban on the Metallictors and the Zycalian Militia coming out from YYY. Bring down my camera here for you guys. Oof, Daggerak Lancers. No second ban. Or they're banning the second one right now? Question mark? Oh, I can't see that for some reason. My thing's bugged. Siphonarios got banned. So Daggerak Lancer and Siphonarios banned from BOD. A safe pick for the Halberdier Sergeant. Interesting. Probably expecting a cav heavy team from YYY. That's why they want to keep at least one available polearm unit. I'm surprised that they would choose Halberdier Sergeants out of all of the available polearm units. Again, you got four major polearm units: the Halberdiers, Halberdier Sergeants, Fortebraccios, and the Medal Battalion. Those are your go-to when it comes to any cavalry units. Ban on the Halberdiers. Very surprised that did come out. Um, a safe pick on the Leao Rangers, not particularly being an effective cavalry in recent, how to say, in recent matches, and a ban on the Winged Hussar. Ooh, this could be very telling. Again, Halberdier sergeants are particularly good against every other cavalry except the Winged Hussar. So a ban on the Winged Hussar, a safe pick on the Halberdier sergeants. So going to see the Halberdiers probably be the main anti-cavalry, and it's pretty telling. They are probably the best of the polearm units for against infantry and against cavalry. Medals really suffer from several drawbacks. One being damage, really low damage output from the Medal Battalion. So Halberdier Sergeants really picked that up with that 2,300 damage per hit. It does get reduced by armor, but not to the effect that Medal Battalion do suffer. They'll start doing about 1,000 damage. Um, they'll start doing 1,000 damage, really, really against most tier 4s. But nevertheless, I hope YYY and BOD shows us a really good match. That is it for the Pickman phase. What do you guys have to say? Hello, everyone Kenobi. A little bit late there for me to realize that you're here. But I'm kind of interested that the Halberdier ban did come through. A safe pick on the Halberdier Sergeants. Wondering whether or not YYY wanted to ban Halberdier Sergeants in particular. Yeah, major range unit bans out here. The Metallictors, the Zycalian Militia, and the Siphonati's all very powerful support units. And I say support units, they're not really particularly deadly when we talk about effectiveness of like lethality, but they will seriously mess up an enemy formation, and they are definitely scary to face in when they are heavily protected. Or even if they're not protected, getting shot by them is always just very terrifying. The range effectiveness cannot be blocked by shields, so getting hit is always just a bad idea. I'm quite interested in the Liao Rangers safe pick. I'll be honest with you, Liao Rangers have not really had very many showings of extraordinary effectiveness. That is to say, they haven't really performed as well as I would expect them to. A lot of times relegating to the kind of side lane here, not the mainstay with the whole, how to say, uh, melee cavalry. That being said, it's a little bit hard to really gauge alternative cavalry. That just doesn't flatten the enemy into oblivion. And this has to do with the fact that lance cavalry as a whole, like the charge is just ungodly powerful. The every other cavalry is just kind of in a catch-up zone where they need to be more and more powerful in other ways in order to even be considered a good cavalry. When a single lance cavalry, even Corteliers, could probably run down an infinite number of serfs very easily. But nevertheless, the Outrangers is one of the stronger cavalries out on the field. I think their bludgeon does quite a bit of damage and hits a lot. So if they only have to hit a couple, they can probably drop the whole unit, almost, if not fairly instantly. And that is pretty impressive in terms of like a one-hit ability. My problem with that is, again, high hit limit makes it very extraordinary or very difficult to face Liao Rangers with sheer numbers, but sometimes sheer numbers do work out and it spreads out the damage. Hey, Z1, what you doing? You should have been here for the pick bands. So that's not all the pick bands. Siphonatioids and the what was it? How it is? Siphonatioids, Band on the Wing of Stars. I'm missing one. What am I missing? Daggerac Lancers. There we go. So Siphonatioids, Daggerac Lancers have been banned as well, so they haven't put those two in. We're going to see a kind of rematch between these two foes. And I don't doubt that we're going to have a more interesting battle considering that these two are probably much closer in skill level, considering we have seen them fight against each other before. But, you know, me, I have been wrong. So hopefully that doesn't just go blow up in my face. Yep, double times Harbor City. I think Harbor City is kind of going to be the main map. I don't believe we're going to see very many, if not at all, other maps. We did get to see Linwee Fortress. We did get to see Kura Castle yesterday, but I'm gonna be real with you. Those were probably troll picks. If any serious team is probably gonna go for the Harbor City. That is realistically the one and only good map, or well, yeah, one and only good map to really have an attacking, or probably the easiest map to attack. And it it's quite difficult to defend. Don't get me wrong, attackers do have a lot of advantages, but certain maps do have more choke points and definitely easier avenues for the defender to kind of hold out against. Well, no. After this season, RP as a CB house will be inactive for TW. I think I think it is time for the CB section of the community to let go of the TW, the kind of TW setup. It's a sad day, indeed, very sad. But nevertheless, it's apparent that CB is a game which is very niche, but doesn't provide enough for its players to thrive and allow it allow new players to enjoy the game. Well, I mean, it's been around. It's been around for a long time. I mean, I'm very surprised how many incidences that Fyro has survived, though we do not see Fyro on CB. Maybe he will return during a Japanese season, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that Vayne will still be active behind the scenes since he is still very interested in the game. So he'll probably move to a different house if he so chooses. We, the community will still be there, of course. Well, no idea. We all hope for a Japanese season. But I'll be real with you, even if a Japanese season does come, it will not change the stigma that has become of CB. There is a lot of bad things, there's a lot of good things, good changes, but one thing we also have to know, it's an aging game. It needs a soft relaunch. There's too many units in the game. There's not enough. There is not enough you can do to get new players to stay without just handing them everything. So you need a reset, a soft launch, a soft reboot, something to get the status quo back in line with newer players and older players. Don't worry about the older players. As long as the game is good, we will play. Don't worry about the older players. We can suffer a little bit of damage. But the newer players, the wall, the grind, the everything, it is becoming more and more difficult and definitely not sustainable. Once this is like layering more and more cake on top of more cake. Well, I mean, like if you ever building anything, you gotta have a good firm foundation so that you can build more on top of it. But unfortunately, we're at the breaking point where the base foundation of the game is creaking or breaking itself, trying to establish a new foundation, but it just can't because it will never it will never be able to be a new game. CB has so much baggage, so much fluff. How to say another word for fluff, but like there's just so much to this game that is wonderful at the same time. It's just not very inviting for new players. Well, we believe that Japanese season was supposed to be part of the original lineup. There was also supposed to be a Russian set of units, which also never made it. Um, so, to tell you the truth, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of stayed away from Japan because of political reasons. There are definitely creative visions that run contrary to popular or the audience. The developers have never, the developers' vision doesn't always align with what the customer wants. And that's not a bad thing. Sometimes the customer honestly doesn't know what it wants, and even if it does know what it wants, it doesn't they don't probably understand that it's probably bad for them. And I say this mostly because there is good changes, there are bad changes, and if you just listen to your audience, sometimes you're going to head into a very bad direction. Particularly if you're listening to a subsection of your audience which have a skewed view. And again, one of them is add more units. That's not a solution. Adding more content at this rate is not healthy for the game to introduce new players in particular. So a soft relaunch, I would say CB2, definitely CB2. Get rid of a lot of the units. I would say reduce the units down to 3 tiers. Get rid of tier 1, get rid of tier 2. Have it send it down to tier 3 to 5. Just reduce the number of units that players need to deal with, and simplify the units so that they are more distinct naturally than they are mechanically. To say, we have our halberdier units, we have our axe wielding units, we have our special. There's so much uniqueness you can give a unit just based on the weapon, the armor it uses, without having the abilities be completely boulder dash. Ugh, something in my ear. I have got tickling feeling in my ear. Oh, but we're still waiting on the first battle. BOD has one player still missing. I'm not sure why we're waiting so long. I'm quite fascinated that we started this entire stream with a big rant of why I think CB is just not the game to continue on with. I think I'll still stay around. I think I will still stream. I do enjoy the grind. I'm the kind of person that will grind until I die. And it's true, since I have been grinding on Lost Ark, and it has been taxing, but nevertheless, I never stop. Because I'm an addict. And sometimes I feel like I need to get out. I need to get out. Take me outside. Don't let me stay here. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary for a while we are here. Waiting for a new game. Grind together, maybe. I kind of want the games that I already have to just be better. Unfortunately, I'm just. Don't you mean F2? Why would I mean F1? Why would you F3? Like, why would you go Shiltron with Spear Sarge? I mean, like, expeditions were really easy back in the day. Then then there was like then there were like some occasions where it's just like, for some reason, the expedition units started to get stronger. So, uh, hey, Spear Sergeant, still my jams. Still my jams. Did you know? I didn't realize this until later, but did you know that the Spear Sergeants actually get their special effect while in formation and in Cover Commander? So when they block a hit, they get 60% damage reduction and 45% damage, and that's really cool. That's really cool. They're really strong. They're much stronger than they were before. And looking at the lineup, there are, interestingly enough, Monastic Knights coming out. Only one. We got a lot of Chevaliers as well. BOD has a lot of muskets. We do see quite a heavy shield lineup with stalwarts and shield maidens coming out from YYY. So YYY will be attacking first, so I'm going to be very interested to see. There is so many shield units from either side that I'm wondering what kind of strategy these guys have in place to take out a lot of shields, because you can see you're gonna see stalwarts trying to poke each other, and if you've ever been in a stalwart battle, these guys take forever to kill each other. Oh man, if you got Keshigs like during the first season, you just get ran over by lance cavalry. Yes, you did. You just made it in time. This is the first battle. So as you can see, tier 5s is out the wazoo for the attackers here. YYY has way more tier 5. That's probably because they've gone with tier 5 infantry, while only tier 5 cavalry coming out from, well, a lot of tier 5 cavalry coming out from BOD. So definitely kind of a mismatch there. Less cavalry coming out from YYY, so they're going to be a little bit weaker on the response on the ground, but that's probably good, mainly because you want to keep just a few cavalry in reserve for the big hits instead of overwhelming the enemy with cavalry. But for the defenders, overwhelming the enemy with cavalry is probably a very good strategy. Come in from different angles and fight them inside the intricate street and maze-like city layout. Siege towers are being destroyed as we speak. The left-hand siege tower, right-hand siege tower are very low. Middle siege tower seems a little bit healthy, so it's going to take a while. I don't want to hype. I don't want to hype for YYY. They always strong in early stage and will struggle when top 8 stage. Well, we'll see. At this point, I think it is a rematch between the two. YYY versus BOD. So let's take a look in just a quick second. YYY beat BOD the last time. So in this case, because of history, we have YYY in the favorite to win, or to say they probably have shown themselves to be stronger than BOD because they did win against BOD during the qualifying phase. So we can expect that YYY will definitely push BOD to the edge, but it did come down to a 2-1. Musket strength or agility is better. When you go musket, strength, bomb, classic. There is nothing wrong with agility musket. It's just not very effective because what you want to do with musket is not use your actual musket. You just want to use your special bombs, you want to use your liquid fire, and your caltrops. Caltrops don't have any scaling, so it's just what you can do. Very surprising, left-hand siege tower actually gets on the wall with a smidge of health. Not very good defense coming out from BOD. YYY does have 2 siege towers up on the wall. This gives them a good opportunity to do a 2-pronged attack, pressuring the wall. But nevertheless, I do think that they have a lot of time, so they should do a little bit more setup. Fighting on the wall, it would be a detriment for either side, mainly because if BOD does hold the siege towers, it will be a heavy fight for this to get up onto the towers from YYY, but YYY can definitely treb the smithereens out of the defending force. Now we're seeing YYY taking the ground, taking the front gate. The main gate is wide open, and we have cavalry stationed nearby. We have border brushers reaching the front gate, sitting there, now unbraced and moving back. YYY didn't go for it, so this could be interesting how BOD sets up. You really need to choke out those siege towers, and you need to choke them out fast. We have an entire shield maiden up onto that wall right now, and there is 15 heroes going to go slamming across that left-hand siege tower. This is one of the siege towers that's going to take a long time for BOD to get there, and one by one, they're going to eat heavy losses. So, unable to get set up now. On top of the wall, needs more space. So, Right now, a squeeze could happen, but it's just uneven forces right now. You need to get in there, get into the back, get into the front. Another stalwart gets blasted right through, and the rear seems to be heavily pressured by two halberdier sergeants along with some shield maidens, but the turnaround from YYY does look like it's going to be ineffective. The units are in favor for BOD, but where are the heroes? I've just noticed that the heroes have been dropping like flies from either side, and now pushing up from the middle gate. Dominance from YYY, surprisingly killing off the stragglers. They're going to take the wall here as interference happened on the ground. Very surprising start and very interesting middle there. I do think the double reversal, was hard to tell who was winning. Indeed, very slow choke there. Keep unable to keep pressure on either side of the siege tower really led them to collapse one side of their defenses. Now, heavy losses coming out from YYY by the looks of it, and the exchange in total probably actually bad for YYY. So YYY might be down a few units. When I say a few units, I mean like whole troops. Man, I gotta get the terminology for this correct because like I use units interchangeably with like the models of units. But nevertheless, we have mortars being placed. You can survive a shelling by standing right next to the houses. It's very difficult at this distance for mortars to really get the correct angle in, but it's much slower than CNC. CNC did, or was it ING? I think it was no, it was CNC. They were much more precise with their shelling and definitely went for those units. Oh, there goes a big hit. Although no deaths, that would be massive amounts of damage spread across quite a few units. Remember, mortars explosion damage is the most terrifying thing. They can hit a lot of units and definitely build up damage really quickly. I think it would take around about 6 shots to really wipe out a unit, but oh man, a formation of Fortebraccio and Myrmillones getting hit by a mortar there. Actually, a couple of guys dead on the ground, so some direct hits actually managing to do enough damage to really clock them out. In my opinion, in this case, after this shelling, I wouldn't actually try to fight this. I would at least try to exchange my units out. Whoa-wee! Those are Outriders? Question mark? Outriders can be pretty deadly. They are quite fearsome. The javelin throw, especially the exploding one, builds up damage quite fast against dense formations. You never really want to get hit by anything that really explodes. Any exploding thing is just going to not be a good day. The effectiveness out from BOD's artillery is just really bad. BOD doesn't seem to have very good placement for artillery, and they just don't seem to be able to win out against the sheer number of mortars and culverins coming out from YYY at the current time. The pressure is mounting. BOD is going to have to pick a spot to defend. At the present time, they're kind of scattered as they're just moving around. YYY making a big move now, clumping up together. Whoa, did look like there was a cavalry in the mix there. Pulls off the... Whoa, do not take the center route. Center route right now would be a death sentence coming out for BOD. Here is the time. I mean, they're splitting. You would focus on definitely BOD's chance has come. Splitting for YYY is incredibly bad. They can overwhelm one side of the forces, or at least catch them. Catching them in here in the center could be huge, but instead they go for the rear, catching a Stalwart and a Medal. Still a good pickup, but a little bit less than what I expected. YYY is actually returning in force, taking the center fight here. Really need to turn around and go through the center back, fight them. BOD tail is gotten caught now, and YYY is picking up more kills than BOD did just before, and massive retreat, losing 3 whole units to 2 units right now. BOD is not able to stabilize and continuously losing more and more units as they retreat badly. Bad retreat there. If you're going to take a fight, take the fight until the very end. BOD did start with a catch on the tail, but really could not keep the rear guard safe. Nevertheless, waves of cavalry incoming. It is quite impressive, the sheer number of cavalry coming through, and this Treb is huge. So much value from that Treb on top of the stairs, and look at the hold coming out from YYY. The cavalry is just not enough, and it cannot break through that formation of Medals, Stalwarts, and the Halberdiers. The Halberdier Sergeants, in fact. Like a tidal wave, YYY just crashes right through the defenses of BOD. There is literally barely any remaining forces left from BOD, and a massive, massive loss in the end. BOD is going to take a big L. The left-hand side supply point has been gotten. Barely any troops left. High-tier troops have all been killed off. It would be very odd if they were able to pull off a defense in this scenario. We have one Medal going to face off against a wave of tier 5 infantry and some serfs. So the losses have not been nil. I do think YYY did take heavy losses for the wall, but here they are dominating, and they for sure will not stop. Blocking off both of the short entrances for the defenders. Just the Medals are holding off the Siladars from chopping them into pieces. The longsword getting ganked by 5 heroes, 6 heroes in fact. Now the glaive, how long will he last? Barely a few seconds. YYY mounting a counterattack by shoving units right onto the supply points, and heroes jumping the formation line. How long can you hold? Can you hold for 4 minutes? One Nodachi from BOD makes it. Loki, big hit from a Dragon Leap. Unfortunately, no dice. The dual blade almost eviscerates into nothingness. Same with the longbow, and the base point has been captured by YYY. An effective and simple battle for YYY. I do think a lot of BOD's mistake was the indecisiveness, or sorry, they were quite decisive in their choice of retreating. I believe that the sacrifices for retreating were just not, again, I don't know the word. I'm trying to say the BOD choice to retreat and the sacrifices that happened didn't work out. They took too long to kill the Medal, they took too long to kill the Stalwart, and when they retreated, they lost 3 units. And when they finally decided to fight, they fight very badly. A lot of their units were not in a good position. They decided to take YYY from the front in an alleyway on a corner where you're coming down a set of stairs. Really bad, really bad setup from BOD. Just tactically, so many errors. you could you did have a strong performance on the wall. You traded evenly, and I think that you traded up, in fact, on the wall, but on the ground, massive losses that turned into a landslide victory for YYY. And yes, Mesme, like the counter push into YYY, that Treb was so massive, like insanely massive. I don't even know how many kills that person would have got with Trebs. Not to mention, most of the shit that was Trebbed was cavalry. And I will say this, and I'll say this again. If your cavalry don't charge from the front, why charge from the front when you can charge from the rear, charge from the side? You want to charge from every single angle. Doesn't matter if they're defending it. The point is that if you come in from a different angle with cavalry, even one cavalry getting through will mess up the entirety of the other side. And that is the kind of pressure you need to put when you're flanking. You don't want to just be like, oh, one side's gonna win, so I'll stick with that side. No. If one side holds, that means that side is not going to win. So if you're going to just have a front on battle, you have to be confident you can take that front on battle. And I'm gonna tell you right now, that front on battle, you committed really hard in a very bad situation. You have to go down a set of stairs, turn left, and then charge. You would have no space to set up. You had no room to maneuver, and definitely you're just going to kill yourself on a bunch of brace units. They were just medals, halberdiers, sergeants, sorry, and stalwarts. Really, really bad choices were made, but I think 5 trebs hit on. Yeah, like that treb was so massive. Maybe winged hussars not particularly. I think they weren't afraid of the winged hussars. Well, I mean, like you should be afraid of the winged hussars if you're going to bring that many chevaliers, because a winged hussar will kill your courtier and your chevaliers. And it's quite interesting that they brought chevaliers with courtiers, and I love the fact that they're bringing a different setup for a unit, but you're just not taking advantage of the strength of the units. You want to overwhelm the enemy when you have double cavalry, but if the enemy is 4 braced units all in a line together, that's going to be very difficult to break. That's going to be very difficult to break. So even if you were going to use chevaliers to overwhelm your enemy, it's just not a good idea to take them from the front still. I kind of get it that cavalry charge is quite devastating, but it is still limited by the polearm units, and the polearm units are uh, magnitudes levels of stronger than they were before when dealing with cavalry, and particularly halberdier sergeants having the special passive of reducing damage from a cavalry charge for the first hit, not to mention bonus damage, phalanx being the strongest brace formation there is. You also have pedals that reduces damage by 50% and additional 33%, so it's just, again, very difficult to damage certain units with cavalry charges, but you can definitely cause a lot of mayhem for a lot of other units. YYY does have a pick for heavy polearm, like a lot of polearm units. So BOD, this is your chance to change up your strategy and your setup to match or to counter YYY. And I do believe that you should be smart enough to realize that your cavalry heavy setup is not going to work if you do not take advantage of your increased mobility. One of the most important things about cavalry is that you have to be fast, you have to be moving, you have to come in from a hard angle that is difficult to defend from and difficult to react to. So even if you're coming in, even if there's only so many directions that you can come in from, coming in from a different direction than everyone else is more valuable than you coming in from the same direction as everyone else. Sometimes you just have to be that person to distract the enemy for a brief few seconds in order for your allies to win. There are sometimes unit matchups are really bad and you need to occupy one of the units. Sometimes you can be sometimes you can sometimes you can work out very well with just stalling, being present in different directions. But here we are on the second battle, BOD versus YYY. I do hope BOD does bring back something. At the very least, there was a very strong showing on the wall, even though the choke did come out late. I do think that BOD can take a match off of YYY, at least give them a much harder time than before. YYY is going crazy with the cavalry. This is going to be very interesting. Here we are on Harbor City, and the number of cavalry coming out from YYY is insanity. And this is probably going to be a sally out. I don't doubt it. There are 5 Shield Maidens in the mix. A couple of Shield Maidens with the Chevaliers in tow could mean death and destruction. Be honest with you, there is actually not that many anti-cavalry coming out from BOD, but maybe it's enough anti-cavalry to beat YYY. The only question is how YYY fights this. Remember, a good formation will kill an infinite number of cavalry, but a cavalry, one cavalry can kill an infinite number of units. You just need that one cavalry to break through. You need to occupy the anti-cavalry units, and once you do, the formation will start breaking down. And when it becomes more and more difficult to defend against cavalry from many different directions, that is when the formation starts to break. BOD is really going to have to be careful with the units they do have available. Definitely not enough for 30 cavalry, but they can work. They can work with it. The sally out has begun. Instant Treb, almost like they were predicting it. Big Treb into the center, taking out quite a bit. Did look like BOD was prepared and was expecting it. YYY probably going to get the advantage by grabbing these artillery. That is going to be a pain in the ass for BOD, as they're going to get surrounded. They're going to need to use the trebs to take out those artillery before they start being used against you. Trebbing onto the wall, taking out something. Weak forces there. The Chevaliers are going to get caught out along with those Shield Maidens. Again, I would definitely take that fight right there. They're going to lose a Chevalier, they're going to lose a Shield Maiden. You are weak right now, but pulling all of your forces away from that supply point. In comes YYY. Big mistake coming out from BOD, not defending that supply point. If that supply point gets gotten, YYY has pure dominance. Oh, this could be a very interesting. The Fortebraccios are going to get caught right now. Your Medals are going to have to hold off against all of that cavalry, along with. Again, your tail is getting caught when it really needs to be the rear guard, and it really needs to hold. Not all of you! Why are all of you holding? Get up onto the wall. Take it. They are still locked outside. You can shut the front gate, and they will still be locked outside. You can. Damn it! You are so slow. That moment and second of stall means that Y1Y has an opportunity to go through the main gate right now as they charge right on into the attacking force right now. Big reversal right now as the defenders who have been caught outside now have to get back inside of their own city. Shield Maiden still holding up top of the wall, so they're not going to fall easily. Really need to get some more troops up there. But nevertheless, right now we have a big fight happening at the front gate. The sheer number of cavalry just rolls right over. BOD is getting new units right now, but they cannot hold for much longer if they don't get reinforcements. Right now, the A point is being gotten. The Chevaliers have basically dominated what is there, and even if they haven't finished off the pike units, the forces that are there are slowly dying. YYY takes a massive L with that charge. Those monastic knights, I thought they would at least take a little bit more from that, but that was kind of like an even exchange. Chevaliers, go. The crossbows are being a pain in the butt for YYY right now. Ooh, being alone right now, Imperial Pike Guard is going to fall. The ground game is for YYY. They're going to grab this supply point back. The cavalry is fast and able to make it to the action much faster. So YYY is going to have to revolve around their anti-cavalry units really fast. But the problem here is that most of the anti-cavalry units have probably already been killed, using the Chevalier's crossbows to be super effective against, or were super effective against the cavalry units. Anti-cavalry units. There is only a halberdier unit out on the field right now. We have stalwarts, 2 stalwarts, 1 halberdier sergeant. That is not enough for the number of cavalry, and everything else that is not anti-cavalry is just going to die. There are 2 halberdiers, 2 stalwarts. You're going to have to really, really rely on those 2 units to kind of win the day. There is so much cavalry here on the ground, and I don't care if you have more units. You do not simply just beat this number of cavalry just from having more units. You actually need units that can deal with cavalry. Do not forget as well, Chevaliers are a combination of a cavalry and crossbow. Most of the time it's crossbow. You can come in with Chevaliers and Courtiers, but good hit. Gonna aim for those Demez crossbowmen. Get those Demez crossbowmen out of the field. You can angle the shots onto this pile. There is so many cavalry just piled on here. Why have you not hit it yet? There is still a lot of... Okay, so this is the thing. Trebs are not very useful when your enemy keeps moving. And this is not going to go well for BOD if they keep losing their mortars like this. The mortar game coming out from YYY is so superior that with just 4 artilleries, they just suppressed BOD's mortaring. Accuracy, the accuracy, the pressure. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll tell you right now, it doesn't matter. My face is not up. Oh man. This entire time my face wasn't there. Whoopsie daisy. I'm sad. I'm a sad. Why didn't you guys tell me? And that's true. Mask Z, I mean, winning the unit trade is huge. You want to take out the anti-cavalry as fast as possible. If you take out the anti-cavalry as fast as possible, there is nothing the remaining cavalry has to fear. They just roll right over. I don't know about this Treb, but maybe a couple of shots will get through. The stalwarts could hold, but my question is can they hold? The rear is being held by a stalwart as well. Where's your halberdiers, which are, yeah, no. Your anti-cavalry units are just getting absolutely munched right now, coming in from two different directions. Even if you were losing on one side, the pressure on both sides was just insurmountable. Unable to defend against the sheer wave of cavalry, BOD is in a very bad position. The remaining infantry has no shot at defeating this much cavalry, and they cannot even defend against this much cavalry. Uh, BOD, BOD really, really getting their asses handed to them by YYY. I think it was a miracle that YYY was defeated by BOD the last time, or like YYY won 2-1 against BOD the last time. But I'm saying is that the fact that BOD won a match, I can't even remember what happened, but I'm pretty sure it was a bloody miracle because at this point, right now, YYY has shown that they know what to do when they're with their cavalry. The only problem is that little bit of indecisive, well, like strange decisiveness coming out from BOD. Z1. BOD's from Asia. I don't think they're an English team, but they're from Asia at the very least. Man, imagine saying don't trash talk, Vane. Stop trash talking. And this is just the thing. There is still a lot of cavalry out in force for YYY. If BOD manages to kill them all, and it does come down to a surf battle, they still have a halberdier. They have massive amounts of serfs. These serf units could be huge, but there's at least 3 tier 5 cavalry out in force for YYY. A lot of serf units from either side. I don't doubt that it's going to become very, very difficult for BOD to have confidence down on the ground after just getting rolled over like that. But 6 minutes to go. We could be surprised. We've kind of evened out on the units, and this could really be a sign that the cavalry is almost gone. But the fact that YYY was able to overcome the so many of the oh, this might be a bad move actually. Halberdiers are set up though. You could defend this Halberdiers with your lives. As long as you defend this Halberdiers Sergeant with your lives, you could win. Formation after formation is way more effective than just attacking. There is the Halberdiers inside the center there. I think they're getting too much pressure though. Monastic Knights manages to charges straight on through that formation, and right now the serfs are still there fighting. Murmillones are good against other infantry, but against cavalry, it's going to be hard pressed to get kills. We're clocking really low on cavalry right now. BOD actually winning that exchange. YYY trying to preserve their lives, but is it worth it? Because we have one guy going towards the supply point. I would have just gone straight to base. What unit are you going to bring out? Most of the defenders are either dead or dying right now, and they're respawning, so why would you go to the supply point? It is just surf units right now. Holy shit. BOD could still win this. It's just surf units now, so this is just a sheer test of hero killing potential. Which side is better at hero killing? That is going to be a good question. This longbow manages to escape. Or not. It is trying. It is honestly trying to escape. Oh my goodness. The Murmillones is still available. Why would you not have them out? Why the Murmillones? Okay, so they keep them out, but there's two sets of Murmillones. That's the only thing that's out right now. It's just a lot of serfs. A lot of serfs. Both sides just down to serf units right now. I'm not even sure if there's any permadeaths, but there is 8. It's telling me 9 heroes for BOD and 8 heroes for the defenders. 3 minutes to hold. I wouldn't have thrown in the Murmillones so quickly. I would have waited. I would have waited. Did they retreat? Half retreating here. Oh, BOD making a big mistake by splitting up like this. Backside again, getting absolutely overran. You might get the superiority here on the supply point. BOD dropping the ball massively. The entire backside just gets completely trashed. Coming in now is only going to ensure your death as just the swarm of heroes just kill one by one. BOD is losing troops and losing heroes fast. Only strong unit left on the field are the Murmillones. The Murmillones has around about 20 seconds to charge. Barely able to stay alive, but Jesus Christ, look how fast YYY is just crushing those heroes one by one. The focus fire was nasty. Big mistake. They dropped the ball at the very end. Superior units, both sides have serfs, and half of them gets wrecked. Your back half, again, your tail. 3 times. 3 times I watched your tail get caught. Your movement. 3 times. Tactical failure. 3 times YYY has caught your tail and munched on the rest of your body. They did use the artillery. The thing was is that YYY was very good at destroying them. Like you didn't we were watching like when they finally got the A point, they had a big battle. They started to do a lot of mortaring. But the thing here was that every time a mortar was set up by BOD, it was destroyed by a mortar from YYY. Far more accurate, able to destroy other mortars. This is the kind of macro game where it's just like the resources pay off for themselves. The defenders need to destroy at least 2 artillery for every artillery they put down in order to get big value. Otherwise, kill an entire unit. That is always amazing. But my goodness, BOD dropping the ball at the very end there. That was quite possibly a chance at victory. You had better units. You had 2 Murmillones, and you let your forces get split. YYY was waiting for you. They retreated so that you would split your forces, that you would either go towards the base point or spread yourself thin by having half your forces chase after them. Either way, they retreated, feinted a retreat, and when they saw you make a move, they pounced and crushed your backside, your tail, your whatnot. Half of your forces get completely decimated, and then the other half realizes their mistake, comes in, and fails to gain back an advantage. That is the point in time where you're not looking to fight the enemy to win because you've already made the distinction to go for the base point. You should have, and you could have still, isolated the base point and stopped YYY from getting to it. Form up the remainder of your serfs, pushing serfs into pushing the serfs into more serfs would have been extraordinarily costly. Keeping the Murmillones close at hand because they're tanky and they actually deal damage to heroes, enough damage to actually be frightening. Oh man, every single time, yeah. Everyone can be. It's just BOD tactical mistake. They think that they think that they just go straight forward the base point, but either the call wasn't together, like they didn't call it. Half of it stayed, half of it went, and by the time they realized that YYY was already halfway up their ass, they turned around and realized that their ass is gone. And now they have to deal with 10 heroes, no, 15 heroes with 10. BOD loses so many heroes really fast because just one hero down is a huge advantage, and every hero down is a bigger advantage for the side with more heroes. And that was the crux of it. The serfs don't matter. The Murmillones matters. The heroes matter. The heroes just killed other heroes. They didn't care. They didn't care about the serfs. The serfs could poke them all day for goddamn sake, and it would still wouldn't kill them. It is GNG versus ZZW, which is actually having its Pickman phase right now. I am sorry that we didn't get to see the excitement. I mean, I was just talking this entire time. GNG bans out Harbour City. Very surprising. Heilong Fjord pick. BZZW picks Heilong Fjord, bans out Hidden City, and we get a ban for Harbour Sergeants, Murmillones, Samachian Stalwarts, Mutt Delators, and Zycalian Militia. We also get a Siphonati's safe pick. BZZW. What are you going to ban? Because your safe pick was nothing. Bans out the Medal Battalion. G&G. I am surprised that you banned out both of the heavy shield units. The heavy shield units. It's an incredibly strange ban, mainly because you're focusing the enemy to take either shield maidens to replace the shield units, or a polearm heavy setup. And if it's not a polearm heavy setup, it's a cavalry heavy setup. So use their body to tank. Yeah. A lot of teams keeps banning out the Battalators and the Zycalian Militia, and that's not a surprise. With Medal Battalion also banned out, I am skeptical on what kind of setup either of these teams will be looking for, because a lot of halberdiers could be good. We could be seeing some heavy tier 5 infantry. We might be seeing some more Siladars, Iron Reapers, or Shield Maidens. Those kinds of deals. Cavalry is all up available. All of those cavalries are very, very available. We got the Winged Assault, Liao Rangers, Chevaliers, Monastic Knights, Cataphracts, Daggerak Lancers, Tundra Humans. Yeah. Forte's no stun on brace. The thing you have to remember about the Forte, they have a knockback effect on their attacks. Medals half. I give you some credit. At the same time, I Medal Battalion is a unit that is right now in a very strange position because first of all, it's neither tanky enough nor does enough damage in for its role. It's only tanky against cavalry. It gets blasted by every other. I mean, like it does less damage than every other counterpart. Like literally, Fort Brachio's output more damage than Medal's. Halberdier Sergeants output more damage than Medal's. Medal's are not even that tanky anymore. And when I say that, I mean for tier 5 polearm infantry, yeah, loyal guards can wipe out Medal's. There is a there is a caveat to that though. Medal's can get very very tanky very very fast. It only takes a couple of hits for Medal's to start becoming crazy tanky. And I mean, again, the passive stacks up to 15 times. 15 times 100 piercing armor and slashing defense, or slashing armor. That's 1500 armor. There is very few units in this game, in melee particularly, that has over 2000 penetration. You're going to be doing minimum damage against Bedow's very, 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 very quickly. But the thing is here is that upfront damage for a lot of units could probably trash half a Medow before they even get half of the stacks. Before they even get enough stacks to become deadly. And this is very important. Medows are not upfront tanky, so they are very susceptible from getting charged into and blown up. And that's the kind of game we're in right now. We're arguing whether or not a unit just gets blown up and can't do anything. Oh man, the low damage out from Medal, yeah, pretty much. All right, I'm gonna be right back. 3 minutes. So okay, I'll be right back. 3 minutes as the next game is setting up. So I'm gonna grab some water, otherwise I'm going to dry my throat out. I would agree with you, Z1. Developers, your idea are very every single passive. Like there is so many abilities that could just be new units. That could literally just be new units. You are adding passives and abilities to units that don't need them or don't need these aspects. You need to either strengthen the existing aspects or improve the weaknesses. Medal's is damage. Medal's is damage and armor. Like damage and tankiness. Their survivability is so low right now that they can't even dish out damage. So if you increase the damage, they instantly become better. If you increase the tankiness, they instantly become better. But instead, you decide to give them a passive that goes from 0 to 100. It can be very fast, don't get me wrong. When medals get going, they are tanky mother... And they will not die. There are a lot of times where there's been medals in the second rank, or there's so many medals that by the time I get to the last one, it has full stacks, and I cannot damage the damn thing. I'm doing like 200 damage to him from back attacks. You get those sometime. But it's not like I just killed the entire unit. Sure, you sacrifice a couple of units in order to keep the remaining there a little bit tankier, but it's just not good. You're limiting the Badal's practicality by not giving them the tools they need, and instead giving them weird effects that don't come into play until later. Again, like, it's a good idea, don't get me wrong, but put that on a unit that can take advantage of that. Give it to a unit that is designed for that passive. Medal's are not designed for that passive, so the passive is wasted. It's not designed to withstand attacks, or it's not designed so that while it attacks, that it gets tankier and tankier and tankier. It has no ability to stay alive. What's the passive? Every hit in Medal defense and Medal order gives the Medal battalion 100 armor for slashing and piercing. It stacks up to 15 times and lasts 3 seconds. If you didn't know, Medal Order is their attack skills where they stab, has a 4-second cooldown. Medal Defense, which is their brace, has a 4-second cooldown. You can leave them in Medal Brace, and every single attack is going to give them more and more armor. Here's the thing, though. They are not going to survive the few seconds of engagement when they are weaker, do less damage, and just clearly outmatched against most units right now. A loyal guard is going to drop 5, maybe 10 medals in contact with you. They're gonna shove that stalwart right up in your medals, brace in front of you. You can carnage, you can medal order. You're gonna kill like what? 7 of them as well? 10 of them as well? Then what? You just traded with a tier 4 unit for the same number of models. That too, Palace Guards, not only do Palace Guards also can one-shot medals by charging, like the charge itself will do damage, the brace then does damage, and they have 40% damage reduction. 40% damage reduction for 5 seconds. So what is the medal going to do? Nothing. Their damage is already so low that they can't even kill they can't even kill any of the Palace Guards in that scenario. So you lose half the unit, and then the other half is just sitting there stacking up armor, and you're going to be very tanky, but you're going to be absolutely fucking useless. Okay, shield rate, like, units that have a shield and units that don't have a shield are two completely separate things. You can't compare how units with a shield brace and units that don't have a shield brace, because it's just not comparable. the amount of power and tankiness you get out from the shield is huge, almost insanity levels. And BZZW, my goodness, that is so many Fortebraccios. And unsurprisingly, GNG does go with quite a few Fortebraccios themselves, along with the Shield Maidens. Again, the Retiari pick from everyone is always very, very, very surprising. Fortebraccio, Pistachio. There are fundamental design that are very inherent in the game. No amount of passives or extra abilities are going to change that. I will tell you very simple things. Brace is too powerful for shield units. You cannot have a shield unit that can brace on the spot and deal damage. It's just too powerful. Second of all, a brace formation is the strongest state any pike unit can be in. That is a stark contrast to what it should be. A brace formation should be strong against charges, but weak in battle, because the reason why the formation is so effective is because it protects each other by overlapping the pikes. But in this game, they're not protecting each other by keeping the enemy at bay. They literally are doing more damage in that brace formation than if they were to be in attack. The most powerful thing that the spear or pike has is the range. But they deal less damage with their normal attacks than they do in brace, which is, again, not ideal. There should be barely any differences between them attacking in brace and them attacking normally. GNG takes the wall by going through the wall break, which is not a bad decision. There is actually not very many. There's two longswords here with claymores and halberdiers going to get flanked. Very slow, though, as the caltrops get dropped. The longsword surprisingly survives, but one of them gets crushed underneath the weight of so many units. GNG forcing a battle here on the grass. It's just weird. Wow, that Treb. I actually didn't believe that Treb smacked into those double Fortebraccios so hard. Unable to get up. Both sides are kind of in a weird stalemate where they... Oh, never mind. BZZW gets up onto the grass. I'm not even sure what to call it. Is it the wall? Kind of outnumbered now. We have Shield Maidens versus Shield Maidens at the front with Fortebraccios, multiple Fortebraccios fighting at the back. And a retreat from GNG does come out. B point has been gotten, and that was a fascinating fight. I need to have like an instant replay for that. I'm not even sure if I caught everything that happened. And I'm sorry for you folks, my commentary was quite slow because, yeah, that Shenji bomb was super effective. That Treb, super effective. But I'm not even sure who won that exchange. I'm going to chalk it up to the defenders, but I'm very skeptical. I'm very skeptical on what happened there. Lots of cavalry from either side. I mean, lots of cavalry from the defenders is still available. But Water Barrages is still very powerful. That's 32 units able to hit you from I would assume 8 meters away. I don't know how long that pike is, but it feels like it reaches like 8 meters away. Isn't like the longest pike like 21 feet? That's like what, 7 meters if you convert it? Less than 7 meters if you convert it? I don't know how long pikes are normally. Maybe 8 meters are a bit long, but I mean, in this game, I think it's supposed to be about 8 meters. Uh, I've always found it weird why anyone moves towards the B side, but now here on the stairs, I can see that GNG can take this point really easily. You literally just set up. You just set up there on the stairs, and you just treb the crap out of the defending side. Like this is the moment where going down now from the defenders is actually a bad idea. They're going to take the advantage of trying to catch a couple of units there. Another Shenji grenade, very very powerful, not to say the least. It's not something that people should scoff at. That damage on all of those units is real and painful. Trying to evacuate the units. Going to get caught a little bit, maybe, here? Monastic Knights might. No, nope, they survive. Back info, there's... Man, Zid1, why are you so thirsty? Stop being so thirsty. Stop just, like, saying that they're gamer girls. Strangely enough, I think GNG is being a little bit too cautious when moving towards the harbor. But maybe they don't want to move their forces towards the harbor, they just want to grab it. Probably waiting on some more forces. You think so? GNG versus CNC? I don't think that's what's happening. This should be the lower bracket. Or wait, no. Maybe no. YYY will face off against CNC. YYY will face off against CNC. GNG is going to face off against BPJT. So they finally moved to the harbor again. Like, I'm not sure why they took so long to make this move. Maybe they were expecting stronger resistance. 6 minutes to go means that they have around about 2 good pushes if they begin now. They're deploying mortars. They could try to pressure off the defenders. Which is good. They stay together and they definitely taking fights that they definitely should win, and they are winning. Getting caught on the backside is, again, cannot be helped. Again, when the enemy starts counterattacking, it becomes very difficult to maintain formations, especially when you're retreating. Um, Longhouse defense. GNG is doing really good with the mortaring right now, and it's super painful watching all of these units getting hit by so many mortars. That's a lot of halberdiers that are just getting absolutely boned. I'm not sure how many you killed, but definitely wound. All right. If I was BZZW, I wouldn't take this fight. You are so wounded right now that this is really bad. Depending on how you angle it, though, you could actually win out big. I say that, but goddamn X-Raiders. Shield Maidens will kill. Oh, Winged Hussar comes through and gets stopped by an Imperial Pike Walk. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. So BZZW tries to hold the defense. Again, Halberdiers at the front, very strong. Gets outranged by the Fortebraccio, but definitely outmatched by the Shield Maidens that are running around. Another Winged Hussar, straight into Fortebraccios, though. Um, Unfortunate. Could be super effective, but not as effective as you would think. Houndsman out on the field for BZZW, and surprisingly, here comes the Daggerack Lancers. Again, that Fortebraccio is being a real pain in the butt as it kills another Daggerack Lance. Not completely, though. I think it might have walked off. It's going to come down to the cavalry. And we know that there's actually quite a few more cavalry out for BZZW. 3 minutes left to go. GNG is going to make a decisive victory here and now before they set up and bringing out the big guns. Also, a lot of cavalry coming out from GNG. Let's see how this turns out. We have some in the back. And that's the good thing. GNG definitely knows how to position well. Look at that formation at the front. All of the halberdiers are taking the front, and then you have a secondary line of Fortebraccio. The wave of cavalry crushes the halberdiers, but it is not strong enough to break through everything, as you see so much of the cavalry is dead. But we have a Fortebraccio formation coming out from the defenders, and that is a nice cleanup. Oh, cavalry coming in as well for the attackers. Could do another reversal, but the Fortebraccio just decimates that cataphract. A very strong hold coming out from BZZW. I actually did not suspect that the cavalry was going to crush the formation there. Very surprising. Only have to deal with two Fortebraccios right now. There are probably no more. There's a couple of there's a cavalry coming out from BZZW right now. So if you got anything, this is the time to use it. There's two sets of alchemists. Oh man. The Fortebraccio is basically the one thing that's going to be a pain in the ass. You just need to send in the surf to block it up, and then rush in. Cavalry units are great at just sweeping through the surf units. They get stopped, and Daggerack Lancers just do a counterattack. Very powerful. The wave of infantry coming out through here is just amazing. But the BZZW has a minute to hold, and it's completely in favor of GNG right now. I was very impressed with that hold coming out from BZZW. I thought GNG would have the upper hand in the beginning of that fight with a formation of halberdiers and a Fortebraccio, but two Fortebraccios beat the halberdiers and in the end pushed the cavalry right into the formation. nevertheless, um, very, very entertaining battle to watch. GNG starting off very, very strangely, in my opinion, going through that wall break and the decision from BZDW to take that fight, especially on the stairs. I never like fighting on the stairs because stairs is just crazy, crazy, crazy to me. It was fun, but a little bit frustrating. For me, it's a bit frustrating. I don't think that BZZW is out just yet. I can definitely tell that BZZW definitely have some ideas on what they want to do with the Fortebraccios, and I'm honestly thinking that if it comes down to it, the position and the formation of either of these teams is going to be the game changer. How they set up their units as the engagement starts, closing off as many gaps in the formation and strengthening any weak spots that might occur when an attack happens. Going to be very, very important. I think GNG's movement can make any heavy their infantry movement so tight, but yeah, too slow. Oh man, the impressive the impressiveness of the infantry pile coming out from GNG was the security of the flanks of the front. And that's what very important about having polearm units be incorporated to infantry piles. Too many times have I seen teams come in with lots of shield units and then a halberdier unit like 10 miles away. No, these guys set up their polearm units. They fight inside their polearm units. So they are always protected by a very powerful area denial unit. And again, defend this unit and it will protect you from anything. And I mean, like, protect you from cavalry, I mean. So, throwing in the cavalry, you just fall back a little bit, let the halberdiers take care of the cavalry. And they did. The Fortebraccios, your second, like, the amazing thing here is the layered defense. The halberdiers followed by the Fortebraccio. One thing I must say is that they could tighten up the formation by having the Fortebraccios move forward more. You can tighten up that formation by having the Fortebraccios closer to the front line, so you have more overlap and more protection and a stronger lineup in general. I love their gameplay, my style of gameplay, but GNG will always lose to hero killing teams. That is their weakness so far since past four CBLs. It's true. There are quite a few teams that concentrate on units more than heroes. Do end up weaker in the hero department, but I would say that units are more powerful than heroes to the point where if you set up your units well, you can use your unit to protect you and kill the enemy hero, or I mean, like, kill the enemies in general. It's less of a situation of where heroes with units still can get killed by heroes who focus on them or focus on heroes. But I think the units are just generally strong enough to protect you from heroes jumping on you, and that's a good thing. I think impact from heroes still need to be there, but the units also need to have a sufficient how to say impact against heroes, a threatening presence at the very least. Too many times have especially shield units just like a hero just looks at it and just like tap tap tap. I'ma just hit you real hard. It's it's just that situation where you can't be a good unit commander if you're worrying about heroes too much. So heavy armor generally keeps you safer and allows you to survive. So hero killers are again weaker against units than they are against well, they're weaker against units, so they will die faster. And I don't doubt that GNG's preference for heavy armor might bite themselves in the butt when the unit count starts to drop down to serfs. But hopefully that doesn't happen, because otherwise GNG might find themselves hard pressed to kill anything. Yeah, your movement can be compact, um can be very strong, but one of the other problems is being flexible and compact like this. That like they're not death bowling, they're spread out. But the unit formations are compact are linked together, so they're protecting each other, and they easily engulf other units in order to gain an advantage. GNG is probably going to suffer from death bowls or specialized counterattacks where the enemy focus on concentrating as much force as possible on one section of GNG, and once that section collapses, GNG has to find the adaptability in order to win that fight. But sometimes, when push comes to shove, you really need to counter that pile with your own one. So yeah, when push comes to shove, heavy armors are the best, but when you want when you want to take out the leading cause, which is the heroes, heavy armors don't exactly cancel out other heroes. Heavy armors can definitely can definitely pin other heroes down, but they're not exactly threatening to, again, many of the medium armors. So far, we're looking at a very heavy cavalry lineup coming out from GNG here on Heilong Fjord. We have less halberdiers this time, which is very interesting. Good formation of infantry, so more susceptible against cavalry. Has a lot of cavalry by themselves. Going to have to probably rely on these fortifications to hold that rear. BZZW, probably expecting it, did see quite a few anti-cavalry come out, so it's going to be very interesting. Maybe. How many sergeants probably did get banned, I believe. How many sergeants, Murmilones, Smachian Stalwart, Madao Battalion, Matalator, and Ezekiel Militia. So, out of the two good polearm units, Fortebraccio and Halberdiers, no Halberdiers out from GNG, so all relying on the Fortebraccios. I'm not surprised that Shield Maidens kind of replaced the heavy shield units here. That was kind of obvious. And you guys can't see my pretty face. There you go. You can see my face again. So the timing of things is going to be very important. Normally, when you begin, it's going to be a very heavy infantry lineup for either side. But once the battle kicks off, you can definitely watch GNG going to switch out to cavalry really quickly. So what's important here is for BZZW to attack and win the infantry section and swap out to the polearm as fast as possible. Hopefully they can win with polearm units, and that doesn't take very many casualties, so that the polearm units can then take the front as the rest of the infantry clears off. So they're protecting. So switching over to the A side now. B side looks like a no-go. The wall here might get defended heavily if they try to go through the wall break here. I do see an artillery. I do believe that if they want to go, also the flamers Overwatch, deadly flamers shooting into that hallway. I sometimes like ranged units are placed to the side of, well, that platform there when you go to A. Sometimes I jump up in order to kill those ranged units or at least scare them off. Even if I die doing it, it's much better than letting them just continuously fire in. So, given no choice, whoa! What happened there? Someone just died instantly. I don't even know what happened. It wasn't even the grape shot. The person who was using the grape shot was a musket. The heavy shields doing very well for themselves right now, but here comes the Cataprax. The infantry locking up the... Oh my goodness, there's so many grape shots there. I didn't realize. The grape shots are not facing that wave there, but that brute force from the shield maidens, absolutely terrifying. Here's some more cavalry coming through. The Fortebraccio is the Fortebraccio shield formation did work out at stalling, but they didn't seem to be able to threaten that shield maiden pile so far. GNG kind of barely surviving with one shield maiden. We have some chevaliers now rocking up, using, not even sending the cavalry in, but using the crossbow's special abilities in order to clear them off. What is surprising here is how long that shield maiden survived. That shield maiden, whoever's controlling it, survived for so long. Even completely outnumbered against a lot of cavalry coming through as well. Are you sure that was Daggerec Lancers? Oh, maybe you're right. It did seem like something was running right through the Fortebraccio. I could be wrong. Probably have to go look at back that look back at that. G&G starts off really strong. I actually honestly didn't believe that they would win that exchange, mainly because the primary formation gets blasted through. Secondary forces kind of trades evenly, and then finally when the cavalry starts rocking up, it just looked like a done deal. But maybe I'm definitely underestimating the grape shots that are coming here from the sides. I think they just lost a whole bunch. Super effective artillery coming out from GNG. What are you doing? What was that, Wing Desar? Wing Desar gets pulled off halfway through a charge. Gets shots to pieces, though. Doesn't even matter. The Chevaliers would have killed them. BZZW is a sitting duck here. It's getting surrounded by grape shots. And I mean surrounded by grape shots here. Oh my goodness! The Shield Maidens are rocking up against each other, and again, GNG is winning. I love this. I love this. GNG's formations are so strong right now. Halberdiers are in position, one protecting the side, one protecting front on, and right now the Shield Maiden's winning that small scuffle there on the stairs. Throwing in cavalry, though. You don't need to throw them in. There's so much cavalry running around, though. GNG kind of sacrificed their shield maiden. What's left of them, that is. Very bad move. Daggerect Lancer is just going to waltz right into the halberdiers and just get half of it killed, and the other half is taking on some Chevaliers. Although you are very damaging, you don't beat Chevaliers when it comes to a Lance Thrust. Probably to stall with the cavalry. I do agree, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I just love how GNG, look how aggressive BZZW had to be in order to break through the line and formation. Attrition, they had to attrition GNG so hard. Like, it's mind-boggling sometimes because GNG put down so many grape shots, and I mean so many grape shots, just surrounding that section. It was a very impressive hold. I'm not gonna lie, I am very impressed from the positioning from GNG, the discipline they had. They do not break ranks. When they set up, they consciously have a position they want to set up at, and they build on top of each other. They don't stack on top of each other. They build on top of each other, meaning they have their area denial super clean, super clean, because what's important is not to beat the enemy, but to pressure the enemy into it, restricting their options. They had to take out the grape shots because they were getting shot from every single angle. They had to take the fight at the front because the entire front was just halberdiers. The entire front was just an entire line of halberdiers. There were no gaps. There were no obvious like I'll go here and flank. It was just a front on battle, defense having the advantage, keeping the enemy where they want them, and crushing them. Impressive recovery from the beginning. Again, I didn't think that they were going to win that first engagement because the Shield Maidens blasted right through the Fortibraccios, the Shield, the Imperial Spearguard formation very, very fast, and collapsed on to the responding forces really quickly. And it was not a very good trade for GNG. Even cavalry rocking up, coming in second. Surprisingly, eventually, when GNG finally got back there, I need to rewatch that. I think I will rewatch that. But the recovery from GNG, I don't know how they were able to stabilize so quickly, and that's the magical thing about it, because you would think that cavalry running through would mean that they would press on forward, keeping GNG away from the point, and then more infantry rocks up and secure the point. That didn't happen. GNG killed off all of the infantry. They dealt with the cavalry that was trying to push forward, and they collapsed in on A simply and effectively, and still held A the entire time. The Shield Maiden that was still on A point cleaned up, absolutely cleaned up. And that was surprising how long it survived for, because it was one of the original Shield Maidens from the very beginning. One of the responders coming in. It's times like this where two teams kind of it's kind of like when two teams like this fight and exchange units, it's so much more interesting than watching one team just completely decimate another team, because you focus more on how they move. You focus more on the strategies they use, the units they use. So much better watching the attrition become the strategy. Yeah, I love a slugfest. I definitely love a slugfest. Oh, alrighty. Closing off. There is no matches for there's no matches on the 31st, which is a Saturday. No matches gonna happen on the 1st, and no matches gonna happen on the 2nd. So New Year's and New Year's and the 2nd. Oh wait, hang on. So Sunday and Monday, there's no matches. We won't get a match until Wednesday. So the match on Wednesday is going to be ING versus Nope, OISU versus TL. And this is the lower bracket. This is the lower bracket. Um, and then following on the Thursday, I believe this is the lower bracket again. So whoever wins from ING versus Nope gets to fight SSR. OISU and TL, whoever wins out of that gets to face YS. The I do believe CNC and BPJT is going to. Okay, so CNC should be fighting YYY happening on the Friday, and then we should get BPJT versus GNG on the second set on the Friday. So the next 2 days, which is the Wednesday and Thursday, going to be loser bracket stuff. So it's going to be a kind of like a 3-day break for CBL. So anyway, to close this stream up, I do think it has been a quite enjoyable watch. Although I think YYY was a little bit flexing there on BOD. I was quite frustrated watching BOD though. GNG, my goodness, man, you show the kind of battle which I wish all matches strive to be like, because it's so much fun watching you. It's so much fun looking back at your tactics, and I definitely believe that although you are not the best team, you are definitely one of the teams that strive to be the kind of team that relies on strategy, formation, and definitely doesn't rely on sheer mechanical skill, not to mention brute force. A lot of teams rely on brute forciness, which, again, kind of relies on a little bit of macro plays, but I don't particularly get to see it spread out like this. Nevertheless, YYY winning against BOD 2-0 there on Harbour City. Following that, we had GNG versus BZZW. GNG winning 2-0 against BZZW on Hailung Fjord. Closing up for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. But other than that, my name's Azakai. Have a nice day. I'll see you on the Wednesday in the New Year's. So, bye for now.